Kyle needs to do a little further introduction. A lot of people know Kyle as a race car driver and, an experienced race car driver, but I don't think they know his history behind rotary engines. So, Kyle, if you could just touch a little bit on your job experience with your neighbor there at Mazdatrix.
A lot of what I've done definitely over the recent years, I've generated a lot of exposure through Formula Drift and through racing and with the RX-8 and the MX-5 program. But I actually got my start really in the racing performance side, and especially in the rotary side, back when I was 17. So I used to skateboard up to the Mazdatrix shop in Signal Hill before I had a car, before I had graduated high school. There was a few local race shops and hot rod shops, and I'd like to stop by and see what was going on. And Mazdatrix was the one that offered me a job. And I actually started at Mazdatrix, sweeping the floors, changing tires. And I don't mean like actually taking the tires off the wheels. They were like, hey, go take the dirty wheels and tires off that car. So really just basic stuff. And I had some automotive knowledge. I had done a little bit of graphic work through a sign shop. My dad was very much in the automotive industry and tool industry. He had some classic cars we'd worked on together. So I hadn't gone through any formal automotive training at that point, but I knew my way around tools to some degree and cars to some degree. And so I very quickly went from just skateboarding up to Mazdatrix and helping them sweep the floors. I saw it as an opportunity. They had an engine workshop. They had a race team. They had at that point, which was very new, an online business, as well as multiple bays of automotive service going on. And it was kind of like a dream for me. Here was this automotive shop, race shop. Everybody seemed pretty cool. There were people that welded and did fab work and drove race cars. And it kind of combined a lot of my interests, the hot rodding interests, the motorsports interests. And so as I was just kind of making this after school money, I started hanging out there more and more, and hanging out less and less at some of the other hot rodders or shops that I frequented, and realized that I really liked the rotary motor. I liked its uniqueness. Gran Turismo also helped spike interest in that. And I liked the combination of fabrication and engine work and assembly. I was an art major in school and in college. And I think as I went through college and as I continued to work at Mazdatrix for a few years, kind of as an apprentice in the engine shop, and as also in all aspects of that shop, from the shipping and receiving to handling phone calls. My first few years were really just parts, inventory, stocking, moving the race cars around, moving the customer cars around. Basically anything they could throw at me, I just kind of was a one and all person for that shop at the moment when I was young, before I was probably even 20. And then right as I was getting into kind of building my own cars, I'd had a 63 Studebaker that I hot rodded up, and then I bought an RX-7 and started to hot rod that. Mazdatrix gave me this opportunity to go from just kind of apprenticing to actually working in their engine shop. And I think that's when it really kicked off. So, I started at Mazdatrix, sweeping the floors, peeling decals, changing tires, and worked my way up through a few years to having an opportunity in the engine room as an engine apprentice. And I quickly started to work on porting and polishing, engine assembly, engine disassembly. That was probably the first 5 years of Mazdatrix. And then all of a sudden, we hit a point where I built my own race car. I was working in the engine room. I was one of the, I think, the second engine builder at that point. Kind of, there was still a lead engine builder, but I was working just alongside him. I not only built a significant amount of Mazdatrix motors, but I also started to run and develop my own race team, which was based on drifting and time attack, where I pushed the knowledge that we had kind of built over 10 years at Mazdatrix into areas that a lot of people didn't even think were possible. We were working with Racing Beat, we were working with Mazda USA, and then as I led the engine development at Mazdatrix, I took a big involvement in the Mazdatrix racing program and really helped, as much as I could with the engine development, trackside support for the e-production program, and actually traveled a lot with Dave Lemon and the Mazdatrix team. And then there was just eventually a point where I was traveling so much for my race team for drifting. Mazdatrix had become really more of a online parts distribution company, and Mazdatrix gave me the opportunity at that point to basically become a private contractor for them. And so over the past 4 to 5 years now, I have my own engine shop and race shop, which is just adjacent to Mazdatrix, and a lot of the service work that gets into Mazdatrix comes to me, or I do it in partnership with Dave at Mazdatrix. But it's just been a very interesting 20 years if you think about it, starting off sweeping the floors, leading into a lot of time spent dealing with Mazda rotaries, taking them on and off the dynos, disassembly, reassembly, then heading up a couple different race programs, both in road racing and drifting, and developing motors in the rotary industry for each. And now kind of having my own shop where we're utilizing it, all of that information that we helped partner with Mazdatrix and other teams on to continue to develop KMR parts and KMR engine builds, as well as still helping and working with Mazdatrix on a daily basis.